to use it, Rory.
It is. It's your baby.
It's the license pool process. So it really is very straightforward. It couldn't be simpler.
Okay.
You get your entitlement data.
Mm-hmm.
You get your deployment data. You match the two up. You figure out what the difference is between the two. If it's negative, you've got a problem. If it's positive, then you've got some spare licenses. Publish it. Tell the service desk so that they can reuse the licenses. That's not hard. So it's actually really critical. So we did do a session a couple of months ago about the license pool and what it is and why it's so useful.
Mm-hmm.
But basically this process is your business as usual version of the audit and verification process. So you should be doing this as BAU for all of the licenses
Mm-hmm.
and all of the vendors that you have under management.
Yeah.
And you should be doing it on a regular basis. So this is where software asset management tools come in really handy, because they will automate a lot of this.
Mm-hmm.
But you've still got to recognise that you still have to do effective license positions to validate what's in your license pool on a regular basis. So just because your SAM tool has automated a process that says this is what you own, this is what you're using,
Mm-hmm.
you've got 10 spare licenses, unless you do that verification process regularly, you can never be quite sure. But the fact that your SAM tool, this is at the simplest obviously, is telling you you've got 10 spare licenses, actually that's really useful information to be getting on with.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, this process is all about engaging and liaising with software, with service management, to really drive through efficiencies, to enable the service desk to make as many decisions as they possibly can, as quickly as they possibly can, reduce the number of calls that are going through you as a software asset manager that you need to put your hands on, and it takes up your time, it slows everything down, and it's just tedious. So, this is a really useful process to implement carefully.
Mm-hmm.
Carefully, but it's really, really useful at a practical level.
It is. It's one of those things. I think it relies on the freshness of data. So there's no point in looking at something that the inventory data and the entitlement data wasn't refreshed within the last. I know a lot of SAM suites will refresh the installation data on a 24-hour cycle.
See, do you know what? I disagree. I think it's horses for courses. I used to work in an organisation where it was federated, and we had a load of different business units,
Mm-hmm.
and they were all using software, and they were all buying software, and they were all, had their own little license pools.
Mm-hmm.
But what we wanted to do was we really wanted to avoid the scenario where one business unit had 100 surplus and the other business unit had 50 shortfall, and that business unit went out and bought some licenses when they didn't really need to.
Mm-hmm.
So what we said to them was, look, you maintain your own license pool, but before you go out and buy anything, I want you to look at the spreadsheet that I sent you to tell you whether you need to go out and buy stuff.
Right.
And so I published that spreadsheet once a month. And it was still useful information and it was still compliant, because Microsoft, if you have a select agreement, which we did have a select agreement, allowed you to use software for 30 days before buying it. So I would publish the updated spreadsheet once a month. The guys would go out and then they'd buy their software.
Okay. Well, that's all right for Microsoft.
Yeah, but it depends on the terms and conditions of the license.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying, judicious use of this process is really useful. Be careful, but from the perspective of providing a service to your organisation,
Mm-hmm.
providing license pool data to the service desk or to whoever can use it most easily is really useful.
Yeah. So I think it plays to the strength of dashboards as well, potentially, if you can offer those out of the SAM suite.
Definitely.
Even if it is only read-only, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I would just acknowledge the freshness of the data. It's just one thing to keep an eye on.
Yeah, absolutely. And you need to recognise as well that sure, you can automate something, like I said before, you can automate something, but you do need to verify it on a regular basis.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you're doing that and you do have a problem, you're never going to be that out of date, are
No.
you? So it's all about being practical. This process is really what drives the practical use of software data, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So at the end so when you've got your license pool, you've got your license pool data, you would publish that absolutely to the service desk so that they can make decisions as soon as possible without having to refer to you.
Mm-hmm.
It also comes very useful for the license renewals and things like that. Yeah. So it's a good process. It's worth thinking about.
Yeah. Because it's a nice thing too, because it means as well that you're not necessarily going out to the business and saying, we've got bad news for you, you're out of compliance, or, you know, it's more sort of, it's a nice way to keep in touch and relevant too.
Yeah. And and as we said in our previous, when we discussed it the previous month, if you can work with the business to establish thresholds, you know, when you get down to 10 spare licenses, we're going to buy another 20. You know, this process can drive all of those good things that really support the maturity of your software asset management organisation and your management system, but also supports the maturity of your service management as well.
Yeah, and risk.
Yeah, absolutely. So there we go. Think about it.
All right, till next month.
Yeah, see
Take
you
care.
later.